which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very good. Welcome, everyone. Settle in. And just wondering if there's any modifications to the agenda. Anyone? Is this another first?
This is a first.
Okay. So the agenda is as it appears on my sheet. And Danielle, there's no one signed up to speak?
Nope.
There's lots of people in the room. Anyone wants to speak that is here? But I'm not seeing anyone. So we're always happy to hear from the public. But that's okay. So if no one else wants to speak, I'm looking at Michaela and everybody that we saw earlier today. So why don't we hear from Ithaca High?
The student council is starting a school store, and it's opening next week every Wednesday in the cafeteria from periods 3 to 6 for all lunch periods. And they're selling school paraphernalia such as sweatpants, t-shirts, sweatshirts, etc. Also, our site-based council. At the last meeting, they processed winter formal, which was last month, and they discussed different ways to continue to educate the students about our dress code.
The upper class student governments are planning the end of the year events such as field day and then junior and senior prom. This Friday, Link Crew will be holding a movie night. It is Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Sweet.
We do not condone skipping school though.
Wrong generation, I guess. Okay. We never did that. Go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
And last week, the varsity swim team finished off an undefeated season. They swept and they will be advancing 8 or so swimmers to the state meet.
Excellent.
Tomorrow there is a youth leadership training series happening at the high school in G101, which is, we understand, it is being sponsored by the Ithaca Youth Council. There'll be 2 sessions, one from 3:45 to 4:45 on getting the media's attention, and the second will be from 5 to 6:30 on running an effective meeting, something which I'm sure they could benefit your expertise. I don't know, are you presenting?
Yes.
I have not been asked, and nor have I been asked on how to get the media's attention, which I don't seem to have too much trouble with either. But that sounds great. Anything else? Very good. We'll go to LACS and then any comments.
All right. Yesterday, the frac action group at ACS was actually, they appeared on a show on Nickelodeon about, I guess, children who've changed and made an impact on their town from taking action. And unfortunately, it was yesterday, and so I hope they'll rerun it sometime. It was a great honor for the group. On the 12th of March, we are going to have a Movers and Shakers photo show. This is going to be a show put on by students. I'm one of those students, with photographs and text, etc., and just a display about each student choosing one person that has moved and shaped them throughout their life. And if you have the time, I hear it's always very good, and I hope it is this time. And a bunch of staff are looking into piloting a small program, at least at first, to move all of our portfolio work at the school to a digital format, which would mean a lot of scans and things, so that we could get very easy access to portfolios and be able to distribute those a lot better. And I think that's going to be starting at least a small test by the end of this year, and hopefully it will work out.
So our principal has told us about all the meetings he's going to coming up, and apparently he's meeting with some staff at Ithaca High School to improve coordination between the schools and to increase awareness about the ability to take classes at both places so that students can have more access to that. He's also meeting with the transportation office to discuss the problems that have been happening at the beginning of the day with fair number of students not arriving on time to the first period class because of busing issues. And then he's also meeting with some West Hill residents and also some people from Cornell to talk about how our school can be more involved with the West Hill community, since that's where we are, and hopefully improve that and make it a better place. And that's that.
Excellent. Any comments, questions? Go ahead, Pat.
If you find out when Nickelodeon is rerunning that, could you please send that information to Danielle so she can disseminate it to the board? Because
Okay.
I don't watch Nickelodeon anymore. And I would like to see that.
Is there anyone from PTA here? I'm not sure. Anyone from PTA? Did you see the email? The notice come through March 11th, I guess, at Culp Auditorium at 8 o'clock. Is Jim Moss is going to come and do his.
yes.
Did you see that? It just came out today. That's before our next board meeting, right?
Yes.
So,
Yep.
So I have seen him do his presentation on sleep and the benefits of sleep for, frankly, athletes and students. So I wouldn't miss that. That's Psych 101, baby. That's the most popular professor at Cornell for probably 40 years. But he's good. He's that is something I would certainly recommend. Open to the community. PTA is putting it on, and that is something not to be missed. It is at 8 o'clock, which seems a little late to me, which I probably fall asleep halfway through. But that's okay. I think. But that's the only thing I saw today that I didn't watch tonight. So if no one else has anything, we'll move on. Consideration of minutes and
I'll
consent
move the
agenda.
consent.
Second. Oh, Pat got a second. All right. Any questions? There are, Brad, a fair amount of.
Yeah, let me comment about a couple of things.
Please.
Well, I mean, one of the things just to highlight for the board, we month in and month in accept the school lunch financial report, and I'd like you to just point out that it's in the positive. And thank you to Denise for that. That seems to be going well. Remember, each year for what, the last 5, we've been concerned that it was going to be negative, and it's in the positive at this point. So we're pleased with that. That is in our report once a month. You'll notice a large number of amendments to the tax warrant. I'm told that most of these have to do with payments that were received and were not logged in by the agent fast enough so that a penalty became due, and we're waiving the penalty because the people in fact had paid them on time. So that's why you're going to read
Several pages.
yeah, several pages of them, and you'll see most of them had to do with a $78 penalty or something like a $95 penalty, that sort of thing. And we're waiving those. My understanding is the agent didn't get them logged fast enough. So
We're not going to mention the bank.
we're not.
Yeah, okay.
Nope. We're not.
Nope. Anything else, Brad?
No, that's all I have to highlight.
And I would just follow up on Brad's mention of the food service program and the job Denise has done. We do see reports, many districts, the food service programs are really bleeding money right now because of the new Fed regulations, the change in really what they are demanding from our food service, changing to more locally grown, which frankly Denise has already done. The fact that Denise has been able to do this transition and be in the black is really outstanding. It really, we don't see that around the state. You really see a lot of folks giving up the food service program and going back to and eating elsewhere because the portions aren't what they expected, and the food is not what they expect. So thank you, Denise. So anything else? I think it's been moved, and all in favor? That's everyone with Eldred absent. And I believe, Dr. Brown, we are ready for the superintendent's report, correct?
Oh, yeah.
And I will note that instead of a very short superintendent's report that you like to do, Dr. Brown,
Yeah.
we're going to be more extended. And you're going to provide variety of information regarding budget and then a few other items.
Budget and then some fun things. But not the budget and the fun, but I've asked Ms. Forrest to come in and share some preliminary budget information with the board and community about where we think we are at this point. We know oftentimes it's moving parts of this budget in the state, but we're hoping to share some information and talk about where we think we are.
Okay.
And I can click.
You'll run the slides.
Yeah.
All right, okay. Before we get into the slides, just to let everybody, the public and everybody that's here, know how we've gotten to this point. Budgeting is, well, it ramps up this time of year. It really is a 12-month cycle, never ending. But it really does intensify in the October-November timeframe. We seek input from all the budget makers in the district. They have to put together volumes of information. It's the dreaded time. It doesn't change every year, but it's one of those things you have to do. I see Mr. Powers in the background just smiling because he really is one of the ones that loves it. He lives for budgeting and he does it very well. And I have to say, I've really been very pleased with how seriously everybody does take their responsibilities with the budget. So then the information is compiled, it becomes this massive document, and from that massive document we have tried to synthesize it to where we're at right now with what we know. Well, we had to start with last year for the first time, and we will be doing it for some time to come, pending any litigation that might be out there about the tax levy limit. But we go through this calculation that's prescribed by the state, and that calculation for next year produced the ability to increase the tax levy. Well, it's a 2% limit. The calculation results in an ability to raise it 6.09%. That does not mean that's what's going to happen. It just means that's the number that will be certified to the state actually Friday. It's due. Every district in New York State has to do this calculation and submit it online by Friday. So we will be doing that. And like I say, keep that number in mind because that's the levy limit that requires just a simple majority passing of the budget. If we were to go over that, which we aren't, it would require a 60% majority. So those are the numbers, and from what I'm hearing around the area, most districts are seeing a little bigger number this year than they did. So then what we look at is from the process that we have done over the last few months, all the expenditures and the changes from budget to budget, and where are they coming from? And most of these aren't going to be a surprise to you. Salaries and fringe benefits, this is a people business, and it makes up the greatest portion of any increase we're talking about. So it's your health, your salary increases, your retirement costs, the Social Security is a calculation off a salary, and then this year you'll see a minus sign. We're reducing our debt service payment. This current year was the highest debt service payment we are going to be making, and now it starts going down, and we will, next year we'll drop off a payment. We'll pick up a little more, but we're going to drop off some too. But this is going into next year is where we're going to see the largest fluctuations downward in debt service payment. And then this last number I think is very telling. All other areas of the budget, other than people and all their associated costs, is projected in the budget we're working with right now to go up less than $700,000. And that's right now on a $110 million budget. So I think that's a great statement to the efficiencies that we have all tried to recognize and go after and do things differently. You've heard that Dr. Brown talk many, many times over the last couple of years about doing different things, doing them more efficiently, doing them better. And I think this speaks volumes for how that's coming to fruition. Then we look at the revenue projections. Right now, the state aid is projected to go up about $450,000. Our printouts were showing a little different number, but when you go in and really look at what's making those numbers up, the 450 is a much closer number. So, and then based on on everything else in the budget, what we do is back into what the property taxes will be. So we have an interfund transfer from debt service that isn't going to be used as a revenue next year because we used it this year knowing that was our high point for debt service that we were due. A legal liability reserve that this year was the last year we could use it. And then all other revenues are projected to go up about $700,000. So that total is the revenue we're going to need to have over the current year. You'll see that both the revenue projection, and I think with the next slide, you'll see the revenues. It's a very simple concept. The revenues and the expenditures have to equal. In order to balance your budget that you're proposing, you have to be able to equal that out. So, and in doing that, remember we could have raised the levy 6.08%, but in order to meet the budget that we have put together so far, the tax levy increase would be about 4.5%. So then you go back and look at what does that mean to the tax rate that every one of us sees in our tax bill. And in this area, we're fortunate that our tax base every year, the total assessed value of the district tends to go up. It went up this year a little over 2.5%. I just assumed a 2% just for calculation and illustration purposes, and I don't think that's too far off. So if our total assessed value in the district increased 2% between this year and next year, that would result in a tax rate increase of 2.4%. So your levy could go up 4.4, but your tax rate increase would be 2.4 or 41 cents. So these are all the numbers we work with when we're trying to put together something. When we're trying to put together the entire budget with the revenues and the expenditures. Is there anything I forgot?
Just stress that is a conservative estimate. That's
Yes,
2% increase.
absolutely.
We have trend data to even put that number up here. So
Yes.
that's what I was saying. That's something we
Exactly.
think about. Question. So, this is a comment from the board.
Yeah.
Can you-
Go ahead, Brad.
Sure. We had Finance Committee last night and took a look at this, and I'm hoping that we're not looking at the headline tomorrow morning of 6.09% being considered. I want to make it clear that's not the case, and in fact, 4.48 is not being considered. That's a number that's just up there for now, so I want to be careful with that. We're not at that point yet. Margaret, we asked to look at it in a couple of different ways. We asked to look at it if we were to use $750,000 more in reserves. You've proposed using $1.25 million. If I understand how you've structured the budget, you proposed $1.25 million. If we were to use $2 million, what does that do to the tax rate? And then I went the other way around and said, if we keep the tax rate below the levy below 3%,
Right.
where does that bring us in a need for reserves? So I looked at it in two different ways.
And what I did was use the same concept.
Right.
The increasing tax levy. So if we were to increase the levy, one of the numbers we talked about was something like 3.5% increase range. That would result in a tax rate increase. Instead of the 2.4, it would be about 1.4,
Okay.
which was about 24 cents a thousand on the tax rate increase. A levy, and some of the discussion last night was a levy something under 3. So something under 3, and I'm pretty literal, so at 2.99.
Fine. That's under 3.
It's got a 2 in it.
Yeah, would be a 1% tax rate increase, or about 16.5 cents.
And the additional reserves that we would need to expend to get there was about $1,050,000 more than
Just-
your proposal in the budget. Okay.
Correct.
And I want to make sure I understand, everybody understands the differences between the levy
Yes.
and the property tax rate that they're going to pay themselves. And what I'm going to do is go back to last year
Right,
to
remind me.
remind people what happened. We voted on, I believe, it was a 2.3 or
2.38.
2.38 levy increase. Your home taxes went up 0.3, less than 0.5%. And that's how we're looking at these numbers tonight. The spread, the assumption is that there's going to be a growth in the total assessed value. And so while the levy, the amount of money we're going to collect in total from the community might go up 2.99%, we would be projecting your individual tax bill would go up roughly 1%. Just to make
And that
the
actual
difference.
tax, right, that actual tax bill is calculated
Right.
later in August.
Right, and that would add, what, about 16 cents, 17 cents to the levy. We were at 16.95 a thousand this year, so that would make us 17.11, something like that. That would, if we were to do this, we would continue to have the lowest tax rate in Tompkins County for schools. And I suspect we're also going to have the lowest increase, both. So we're going to be lower again and lower by a growing margin to the districts that surround us. Just so everybody can... The urban myth is Ithaca pays the highest taxes. It's the urban myth. Everybody says it. You all hear it at Wegmans. We have the lowest school tax rate in the county. And next year, it will still be the lowest, and it'll be lower by a greater margin than it was this year. To try and kill that urban myth. I'll hear it again, I'm certain. I would be an advocate of the 2.99, looking at the one. Margaret shared with us the reserve balances. We know we're going to be able to place some money back in reserve at the end of at June 30th. So that we have some room there, although we are going to go to the taxpayers with asking them to establish a new capital reserve, so some of the money will go there. We always keep our 4% balance as well funded on that reserve. And that's not a reserve, excuse me, I'm misspeaking. What do they call that now? Unallocated?
Unassigned.
Unassigned.
Yes,
Unassigned, and the max is 4%, and we keep it at the 4% in there. So we'd be raising that balance a little bit this year, 50, 60,000, whatever, to cover that. I would be advocating that we look at the 2.99, that we ask the staff, direct the superintendent to, complete his budget presentation on a 2.99 levy with a approximately 1% tax increase, property tax increase, and utilize $2,300,000 from reserves. That's going to be $450,000 less in reserves than we used this year. So we are weaning ourselves away from the use of reserves, recognizing we can't do it forever. We can't spend the savings account forever, so we need to spend a little bit less and do it again the next time around. But I think that's, in my mind, striking kind of the fair balance to the taxpayers on where we are.
Go ahead, Sean.
I would only add one thing about sort of the idea of the urban myth that Ithacans pay the highest taxes. It's true that we don't pay the highest tax rate, but we also have to understand the way that some of our assessments happen in the city may be slightly higher than it happens outside the city. So while the tax rate may be less, the taxes that we actually pay out of dollars are pretty significant for a number of families, so we're always trying to find that balance as well. Mm-hmm. And as much as Brad just said it, we've been spending a good deal of it out of the reserves. We've also been very diligent in replenishing the reserves as well, trying to. So it's not like we're just spending money out of the reserves and not then replenishing those same sort of savings accounts as well. Right, so we're trying to do a combination of both and trying to find a balance for the taxpayer. As I was trying to say at the facilities meeting and finance meeting yesterday, I think raising taxes is unsustainable. Continually raising taxes, the expectation every year that's going to continue to raise, and so to find a way to balance that to the cost of folks who are working hard, as well as provide the highest quality education we possibly can, and trying to merge those interests has been fun, daunting, and let's keep doing it for another couple of years. I'll be gone after that, bro, so good luck.
I guess just to the point on the fund balances, I did pull out the, I know it's boring, but the executive summary from the audit I do refer back to it from time to time. And our June, or essentially, sorry, midsummer, end of 2012 fund balance number, essentially 22 million and change, and that really is just about exactly the same fund balance that we ended up in 2010. So we went up in 2011. We used more, as Brad says. We've come back to about 22 million in that range. So we've tapped into it, but at 22 million, yeah, that's still a higher rate than in 09, 08, et cetera, et cetera. But our budget's getting bigger. Grows over time. So as our budget gets bigger, our savings, those reserve funds that we use to fund what we need in this district, that becomes a smaller proportion of the budget. So we've asked leadership to the budget tighter. To if we're going to ask the community for tax dollars, we know that we want them to go for program staff and children. So we're not asking to replenish our reserve lines. We're trying to balance that, and that's been our part. What I have not seen, Dr. Brown, I'm sure you have it or are getting close to it, is that top line number. What is that? What is that budget amount that you're going for? And you are going to be finalizing that, I'm sure, and then we will see really a full budget package.
We're saving that for March 12th for dramatic effect. But I can say, with these numbers that you put in front of us, and I appreciate the direction, we will have a comparable increase from year to year that we've seen over the past 5 years. So each of the past 5 years, the budget has gone up about $2.4 to $3.5 million. We see ourselves going up from budget to budget, year to year, in that range. But the actual number Margaret has, but I'll just say that will roll out the entire budget.
Just so folks have an idea of when we will see those numbers. Other questions? Michael?
Of the $600,000 in non-staff funding increase, what do you know what specifically is?
In the area of BOCEs, that sort of thing, contractual obligations, some staff development. Those are the main ones.
Thank you for your direction. We'll be ready on the 12th. Presenting our budget. This allows us to continue our quest for excellence. So our preliminary indications say there won't be any cuts, major cuts. We will look for efficiencies, continue to look for efficiencies, but we've been able to offer pay raises over the past few years with no layoffs. And we think we're in a position to continue to do so. So thank you. A couple of other items, Mr. Ainsley, if I may.
Sure.
I appreciate the board and so many staff and community members who were at the accommodation ceremony that happened today at 5:30 in Cultural Auditorium. Another outstanding event. Recognize so many young people and staff members for their achievements. As I look around the room, there are some folks who we didn't recognize today, and we may recognize them at another event. I see Mr. John Raymond in the audience. And I'm a UVA guy, and I know if you don't get the awards and naming conventions correct, we get upset. So I see him surrounded by a bunch of Cornelians. If I don't get this right, you will correct me, and I don't mean any disrespect. But I want to name the award that he just recently received at a ceremony at Cornell, if I'm not mistaken. The Deborah S. Newman 02, and I don't know if that's 1902 or 2002.
2002.
Got it. Cornell Tradition Community Recognition Award to our very own Mr. John Raymond. So congratulations. Another staff member who's not in the audience, but I think and I'm sure we'll bring him to a accommodation ceremony soon. Our new varsity basketball coach is being recognized as we speak at Ithaca College and I don't have the specific name of the award, but I know it for his achievements, and he's an alumnus, and they recognize him for doing great things since leaving Ithaca College. So once I get that specific name, I'm sure someone will tweet it or email it to me in a second. I'll share that name with you also. But congratulations to Joe Zulu for what he's done for the community and our basketball team. So thank you. And finally, I wish to share something with you that's pretty much hot off the presses. And I did this last year before we went public, and tonight you'll be the first to see it. Let's see if I can make this go full screen here. The past 2 years, we've had an opportunity to bring what we call a Summer Institute here to Ithaca. The first year, we had about 250 of our own staff And we did things such as aligning our curriculum to Common Core. We were one of the first districts in the state or the country to align our curriculum to Common Core in the way we did. That was a 2-week experience. Some real good PLC work that first summer. Last summer we had a 4-day event, 2 days, which was a national event in which we invited folks in the region and across the country to come talk about PLC work and looking at student work. Many of you were there, staff was there. We had about 250 staff members, about 450 total participants from all over the region and the country. Some great things happened there. We plan to do another summer institute, and we anticipate a couple of weeks, but 2 days of this Summer's Institute we're working on right now, and we're ready to go public with, will be called EduStat University 2013. Another national event. We're partnering with Pearson and some other folks, but I wish to share with you some of the themes and threads that we're hoping to get across to not only our staff, and we're hoping to have a significant number of folks from ISCD, probably 300, 350 or so of our own educators here, but we're expecting around 700 folks to come for the entire conference from all over the country. Headlining the event, we have Mr. Paul Tuff. Many of our staff members have been reading the book, How Children Succeed. I had an opportunity to be with the commissioner a couple of weeks ago, and he's changed his thinking around college and career readiness. Before he was talking about 21st century learning skills and assessments, he's most recently talking about grit and perseverance. And he's having those conversations because he's partnering, and he's had some deep conversations at work with Mr. Paul Tuff. Shocker, huh, Mr. Banksy? But grit and perseverance, and this gentleman, probably, he's a hot ticket, right? He's talking about, his book is great. I'll get a copy for you, but grit and perseverance and how he's describing it and how it should be present in every course, unit, or classroom is pretty impressive, how he's thinking about it. And our commissioner's now speaking about it. We'll have Paul Tuff here this summer to do a keynote and then work with some smaller groups. Other folks, as we are pushing this conversation with the commission, we were pushing the commissioner on APPR and observations, and we're having conversations with him about his vision and sharing our vision for walkthroughs. This gentleman, John Antonetti, is the best I've ever heard, and people have recognized him as the best person to talk about the short walkthrough process. When walking into a classroom for 5 or 10 minutes, what do you look for? What do you see? How do you collect that data? This gentleman has nailed it, and he's going to be here this summer to talk about the walkthrough process along with some other key teaching. I had an opportunity to be with Charlotte Danielson this past weekend, and she said that too. She said even the formal observations, we have some work to do internally to understand this, but she said to me, even the formal, long observations, the times we're there to evaluate, should be 15 to 20 minutes max. So what do you look for in that short amount of time, and how do you look for it? How do you assess the engagement, thinking skills, and the teacher performance? Are things that we will continue to work on. But we have some of the best minds in the country working on this, working with us to do so. John will be here this summer. Other folks that will be here to share some expertise. Mr. Dallas Dance, he's a friend of mine. He's thinking about, he's a 30-year-old superintendent in Baltimore County, Maryland, the 26th largest district in the country. And in a year, he's changing a culture around teaching and learning. He's implemented a teaching and learning framework. He's implemented a teacher effectiveness approach with Charlotte Danielson's model as a framework. So he's doing this in a district with 106,000 students. And he's also working on doing a digital conversion and going to a one-to-one for every young person in his district. So this gentleman's doing some pretty powerful things in a short amount of time in a large district. And our dreams were to change the world. I was going to do it from a smaller district perspective. He was going to do it from a large, and we're going to meet in the middle of the summer and talk about it and share some stories and lessons learned. Other folks, and we're very excited about this, we're hoping to have an educator effective panel led by teachers. We've been able to secure some of the most impressive teacher of the years from various states. New York State Teacher of the Year for this past year will be here. We have the gentleman Joshua Clark from Maryland, a prior New York State Teacher of the Year, and this guy Josh Stumpenhorst. If you check him out on Twitter, he's probably the one. He's the teacher that's out there. He probably has more followers than any other teacher in the country right now. But he's here. He was a Teacher of the Year in Illinois a while ago. He's now speaking about how to use social networking in classrooms and how to make it come alive in classrooms. So he's going to be here. He's already working with us to set this conference up because we're hoping to have one of the country's first paperless conferences, a truly paperless conference. We're also hoping to have various hashtags and Twitter handles going on too. So he's working with us right now to make this an experience that's going to be a one of a kind. And I think we have one more surprise. I'm going to be there too. But the commissioner has been invited. He's working now to secure these 2 days because he wants to be here. Quite frankly, he wants to facilitate the conversation with the teachers. He wants to be able to Paul Tuff because their work is aligning. Another invited guest who says that she's going to work to be here is Miss America. Miss America is a New York State person now. So she wants to be here. So this is shaping up to be probably the premier national conference in the premier national event this summer. And we're just going to be here in Ithaca. And we're hoping to offer this for many of our educators and many educators from across the country. But we were working hard on this. And just wanted to put it out to the public because the website is going to go live tomorrow and folks are going to start to register. We want to get that information to you tonight. So I tried to do that quickly. There's a lot more I could say, but I just want you to know that July 29th and July 30th are the dates that we want folks to put on their calendars because it's going to be something. And that's it. Sorry for taking so much time.
That's in the budget, I guess, somewhere.
Yeah, it's in the budget.
Okay.
We've done it every year. For the last 3 years, right?
Last week. Great, Dr. Brown. Is that it?
Yeah. I appreciate that reaction.
No, it's stunned silence. I think that's what the reaction was. That looks tremendous.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, we have been talking about budget, and I think we're probably going to continue to talk about budget over the next few meetings. And really, as we go into school district business right now, we're going to talk about the budget, but how it affects fine arts first, but then physical education and extracurricular athletics. So we're going to get an update from all three areas that, frankly, the district, the community has put a significant amount of investment into. We finished the fine and performing arts building first, and so we're going to listen to David first, but as he gets set up.
We're going to get set up in just a second.
Right, exactly.
My technology not failing, I'm just slowing down a little bit. Mr. Peacock.
No, we got to take a breath, Dr. Brown, after all that. But the community did put a significant addition to the fine and performing arts, making a commitment to the programming, making a commitment to staffing, and the last commitment that the community through the board was to bring on a director of fine and performing arts. It's something that we had talked about on the board for years, but could never seem to make it work in the budget or what it would look like. And we are very happy that we now have.
Yeah, all right, there we go.
Perfect timing, Rob. I'm slowing down. I'm waiting.
That's what I'm doing is I'm waiting, to get you back.
I'm trying to tell the youth council how to run a meeting, and it's you got to talk slow, and sometimes you got to talk fast. So,
David, please help Lavelle with that.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
Is there a techie in the house? I mean, it's just.
Are we getting there so we can be here?
Yeah, we sit there with just 1 second.
Are the laptops arguing? I mean, is it?
Dueling laptop.
Well, I also want to thank you. It's been a sincere privilege doing this job. 23 years I've been teaching, and it's been my goal and my dream to be an administrator of the arts, and you brought that to fruition. So for that, I really, really appreciate it. And as I start this and I think about how I would speak of the state of the arts, I think about the commendation ceremony today. And we heard about the American Choral Directors Association, the New York State Band Directors Association, and the National Association for Music Education, and the tens of students that were participating in that. And I'll give you some data later on about, about more opportunities. I thought it would be important that you knew who I was. I know you saw my resume, but I think one of the important things is my business background, because while I was a business student, and that's how I started, I also took music classes, and a music professor said, "What are you doing this for? Where are you going?" And he realized and he saw something in me. And I say that because one of my initiatives is to find out why students drop out from the arts. And what do we need to do to get students back? Because once students drop out, it's really difficult, if not impossible, to get them back. So that's one of my initiatives to do. And in true Dr. Brown fashion, I wanted to introduce two of my greatest works of art, which are these wonderful little children, Nicholas and Sophia, because I know you love to show yours, so there are mine.
We're going to have a cute off now.
I want to tell you a little about where we are currently. And the first is this auditorium. I have to tell you, it is by far I've been in 6 districts, and I've also directed for other districts when I'm working in one. And it has to be one of the finest performing arts centers that I've seen. What you have invested in that is just extraordinary, and I think we need to utilize it more. And that's the one thing that I'm starting to look at, is how can we get this space used, and I'll talk about that in a little while. Just some data for you. All of this is available on the new website that I created, and I'm not going to talk at you about all of this data, so you can go back and look at it. I know I've only got 10 minutes, so I'm going to try and get through it very quickly. So my art department is so active. I mean, if you go into the city of Ithaca, the surrounding areas, they have art shows. The students have art shows. Our students have art shows right in here. It's amazing, all of the things that they're doing. And to have real world application by the staff shows the students that there is an opportunity for them in the future, and I think that's really important. We have a memory project that is being done at the high school, and it's where students do self-portraits, and they send them all over the world to underprivileged students, and they send their pictures back, and you'll see if you link on there how that works. Kelly Remmel just started an adaptive art program in 2 of our elementary schools for students with special needs, and it's just something she's doing on her own, and she's trying to bring art therapy into our schools, and I think that's really important. I started an arts advisory board. We met yesterday. Because the staff is so large, 50 staff members, I've got a board of about 12, an associative group of art teachers, music teachers, and theater people, and we look at all of these different ideas. Continuing, I was so honored. I got a phone call from a theater arts board, and they asked us to get together and talk about many different coalitions. I met with Ithaca College Music, I met with Ithaca College Theater, talked about what can they do for us and what can we do for them. And I think that's important also, trying to get those people in, trying to get our people out. So I continue to do that. A little bit about myself there. I meet with the Fine Arts Booster Group, who just to get an idea of the sounds and feelings of the community. Art supervision and observation, I think, is one of the most important things that I bring to this. I think it is, without a doubt, one of the reasons I desperately wanted to be an administrator, that I can affect more students through my staff. People always ask me, why did you leave being a choral director? Why did you leave being a director? Because I want to affect more children. I truly believe in this position I can create a stronger culture of excellence through my staff, and I think that's very important. For those of you who don't know, we don't have the hangar managing the Culp Auditorium anymore. I know the board does, but I'm not sure everyone does. And this gives us real-time management. We are in charge of the management. We allow the community to come in. We allow the teachers. Already there is so much more going on, and I think that's really important. We are going to continue the 4th grade hangar program that is being increased into 4 different sections. We did only 2 sections this year, and it was really difficult timeline. So we have expanded that. Not so much expanded the program, but we expanded the timeline to better aid other curricular needs of the 4th grade program. So what are some of the things that I think we need for growth? Music and art curriculum alignment. As I look at our 8 elementary schools into our 2 middle schools and our alternative school and our high school, there are so many dissimilarities between our arts programs. And one of the main things that I'm trying to do, another one of my strong initiatives, is to look at this alignment, this funnel effect, that students come to our middle schools with the same knowledge base. Not that they're taught the same, that's not the way that this is done, but they have the same curriculum, they have the same alignment, so they are taught the same, so they can come for success. Our 2 middle schools, for instance in music, very different programs. We need to look at how that works positively, how it works negatively, and what we can do to better serve our children. Most recently, Phenon and myself have been working with Dr. Baruch Whitehead, and we're looking into creating Ithaca High School gospel choir. We talk a lot about equity, we talk a lot about engagement, we talk about opportunity for all children. And this is one of many different ideas that we have moving forward to try and get more students involved. We've added AP Music Theory class, AP Art History. No child will be prohibited from our music program because they can't afford it. That's something that we talked about, I think on my second day. You have created source for that to happen. I am creating the knowledge and the understanding to our families that it's not just for our wealthy children to play the violin, to play the tuba. We will make an instrument available to every child. In that, we have to make sure we have a good, strong inventory program. Because I have to be honest, I get phone calls. Mr. Brown, you're the new arts director, and I just found a tuba under my bed, and my son graduated 10 years ago. What would you like me to do with it? Bring that back to us. I have it. We're going to create an inventory program so we know what goes out and how to get it back, because that's not in place right now, and that is very, very important to do. We're working, physical education and music and art are working to create a performance-based critical attribute for the Danielson rubric. A lot of what we do is performance-based, and many pieces of this rubric are not really formulated for performance-based instruction. We're not going to change it, but we're going to help the teachers understand more about what they do is still effective and highly effective, even though it doesn't quite fit into that square peg. And we're going to be working on that, and hopefully we're going to be rolling something out in the fall. We created 2 new dance classes. We have an incredibly beautiful dance studio that is not being used. And I know that I met with Mr. Powers last week, and it looks like we're going to have enough students, hopefully. It's nothing's in stone, but it looks like we're going to be able to run those 2 classes. One is a modern dance class to hopefully get more students outside of the cult area. I call those students, in orchestra, band, and choir, and get more students. I think once students get into cult, they'll understand how exciting it is, and hopefully we will keep them. And we have been talking about PE credit for the dance classes, maybe to be piloted in 2013, probably 2014. It's just the beginning of this conversation, but we've been working really hard, the 3 of us, and when we roll it out, we're not sure yet, but we're in discussion. I'm looking at the 4-day rotation, which I know was something that was brought up long before us. I'm gaining data right now. And then I'm looking at all of these important pieces of enrollment. And it's really important to me when a student decides not to be in an arts class. It's been important to me for 23 years. So I don't know if that's a survey. I don't know if that's just a question from the teacher and we keep the data on that, but I want to know why a student chooses. And it, in many instances, is for a good reason, or it's for a substantive reason, but we want to know that. And it's for a reason that we can help them understand that they shouldn't do that or don't want to do that. I want to get involved in that. There is a new website, ICSD Arts. It's hard to see. I apologize for that. I talked to Joe a couple weeks ago, and we're hoping to do a bi-weekly update, and I know the musical coming up is going to be a feature in the near future. I'm hoping to have a page. Summer Arts Academy. This is something that Dr. Brown and I discussed. I want to make sure that when we roll this out, if it's something we want to do, that it is successful. I looked at maybe rolling it out this summer. I don't think it will be successful if we rush this. But I would love to see a Summer Arts Academy for all of our children, all 6,000 learners having the opportunity of the arts, and maybe a Summer Academy is exactly what they need. And that's my Twitter, in case you ever want to follow me, David Brown 510. And finally, I want to leave you, and because of my time, I'm not going to actually do it, but there's a Girl Empowerment Project. Kate Kraisner and Dr. Nunn, Nia Nunn is, they spearheaded this. It's for some of our elementary children. It's, I think, a 23-minute video. I invite you to come and look at it. It's exciting. And I've asked Kate, I said, I want to look at these young ladies, this Girl Empowerment Project. I want to see where they are next year and follow them all the way to their 12th grade graduation and see what it is that this did for them and continue to look at their progress. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's enriching young ladies through art and art therapy and psychology. That's my update.
Well done, David.
Questions? You're not done yet, David. Questions? Brett?
2 AP courses to
Yes.
be added. Any prerequisite for those, or can any student take them?
For AP music theory, they have to meet with me and they have to have a basic background in music, and I've spoken to all of the music students at the high school and had them come in and see me. We're going to roll it out as anyone can sign up for it with a basic knowledge. AP Art History has 10th, 11th, and 12th grade students can sign up for that, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Yes.
But no prerequisite.
None that I know of, no.
Okay. The two dance classes, are those during school hours, or those before or after?
They're during school hours.
During school hours.
They're half a credit, and right now we're looking at, I'm not really sure how we're going to roll it out. I think one in the fall, one in the spring, but that's not definite yet. But it's half a credit.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
And David, you certainly mentioned, eventually, and it's something we've talked about a long time, getting PE credit for whatever you're active in, get PE credit for it. But there was a question. Go ahead.
Yes.
Hey, David, first of all, your excitement and enthusiasm about the arts and your work is great to see. So
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Looking forward to you putting that in action. The one question I had was, I know that there's a lot of, student-produced shows, and one thing I'm thinking of is Acoustafest, where the students kind of got together and had a acoustical music kind of festival where they played music, and I think it was done on one of these venues near the Commons. And I guess what I'm trying to probe you on is to see whether there's any thoughts or vision of allowing students to bring their own projects, in terms of, hey, I have like a poetry slam, I want to use the black box for that, I want to excite the students to produce their own shows and performances and things like that, and how that space could be filled by students, developing
I think
their
that's
own
a
shows.
wonderful idea. I think to roll out the understanding that this space is available is really not as easy as I would like it to be. And I think even the staff right now don't know that they can bring a guest lecturer in. They're starting to understand that. Talk to Mr. Powers about going to faculty meetings and letting them know. Maybe when we have an entire student organization meeting, I can let them know. I don't think they know this. I mean, this arena that I call sort of is missed by many students. If they don't go in there, I don't even know if they know it exists. So one of the things that I want to do is get more of that information out. I know students today are viral about everything, like what is online, what is going on. So once they understand the ICDS Arts website and they can start to go there, they can start to understand it. I have had requests from students for small vignettes, small ideas. There's an audition workshop right now that some students are running, and that happens in the black box. And there's a fashion show that some students came to me to run, and that's going to be in the black box. So there's small little pieces, and I think once the word gets out, more of that will happen. I hope.
Other groups, a few years ago, but Shakespeare in the Basement, Running to Places, a lot of the kids are always involved with those. There was always an issue in the past with access with the hangar running the facility, and certainly summers, the hangar really had the whole facility. Is it going to be more available now?
Running to Places has already contacted me about bringing their summer shows to Culp, because they're usually at the state, which doesn't have air conditioning. So there is conversations about that, but absolutely, there are many opportunities to do that for this community. There's a fee structure because we have to have, custodians, and our new fine arts technical person, Steve Brookhouse, will need to be there in evenings and different times. I mean, he works for us, but there's different things that we've worked out for that, but yes.
Okay. And the new tech person, everything else that goes into putting on what you do over in that building, budget-wise, obviously we're looking at the budget. Are we underfunded? Are we about right? Are there?
It's a learning curve right now.
I mean, you haven't been here that long, David, so you're not gonna ask a lot right now. But
I'm actually doing a lot of research about that and trying to formulate what it really needs, because honestly, there was a lot of unknowns from the Hangar Theater. So I'm still trying to sift through what exactly was expended, and Steve Brookhouse and I have been working with Dr. Brown and the finance department about what needs we have.
Right.
And maintenance.
And folks shouldn't obviously realize, but should realize that, we had a contract with the hangar. We paid the hangar to manage that facility. And so instead of paying the hangar, we brought those resources back into the district to hopefully better manage them to our needs, not, an outside entity.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're looking at the most important budget initiative. And his expertise and thinking have allowed us to do things we hadn't thought about before. And yes, we are working together to look at the budget and the particular line items. And he submitted his proposal. There's some things that are going to be included in this budget that's going to allow us to grow the program. But please remember, over the past few years, we've built fine and performing arts along with our co-curricular programs. An example would be the $30,000 that we added back for equipment replacement to allow our young people in our elementary schools who did have devices, instruments in their hands to now have instruments and to replace some old equipment. So we've been building this for 2 years, but again, this is the best thing we've done to have this thing at the table.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I have no idea what an arts academy would be in a public school. Can you outline that for us?
Well, yes, when I worked for Pittsburgh Central Schools, we had Summer Enrichment Institute, and it actually involved theater, music, art, science, and it was a way to enable students to further their education in the arts. Basically, it was by tuition. I'm not sure that that's the avenue that we want to go. And as I was saying earlier, that's why I didn't want to lay it out for the summer. There's actually so many things on the plate that I want to make sure we get done. But I think we're just beginning to look at it, but it would be definitely theatrical, musical, and arts, and visual arts, and having the opportunity to really further their desires, especially for students in an 8-period day that can't fit a lot of the arts because they're taking so many other things. I don't really know what it would look like yet, but I know that it would be an exciting opportunity. In my mind, culminating with some really great production that is created by art students and theater students and music students playing in the pit and singing on stage, and the scenery by art students, but this is all still sort of coming out of here. And this Arts Advisory Board, that's one of the things we're going to be discussing. What do you think this should look like before we even come to you and say it needs funding or it needs no funding? It can be self-sufficient. Arts and Education has funding available. New York State for the arts has funding, so there's a lot of different ways we can look at this.
Question from Noah.
Just to the board, I said this a couple weeks ago when Dr. Brown presented his goals for increasing student participation in AP classes. And as students sign up for more AP classes, there will definitely be an increase in applications for financial aid on those tests. And they're about $85 each, and when you add a 1, then 2, and then 3, that can definitely add up. So that should be something that the board plans on budgeting for in the future.
Thank you, Lord. And we are thinking about that.
Anything else for David? David, I think when we spoke when you first came on, I think we talked about basically, well, there's a few Ithaca High grads here, but if we have a student that goes through Ithaca High School and LACS, and if they never step into the Culp Auditorium or the Performing Arts Building, I would think that we as a community, we as a board, we as a district have failed them. And so I encourage you to meet that goal. And conversely, if we have art students that never experience the health and wellness side of the offerings at the high school, they have also going to be missing out, because we have to teach how to be fit, and we have to teach how to lead, how important exercise is to the rest of the day. And we're going to move on to that with Danielle and Rhonda right now. So thank you.
Thank you.
Great segue.
Very good. What did you find?
That's why I get paid.
That's how you run a meeting, Ron.
Did you catch that? It's a great segue.
But to that point, We're already up on the technology, and to that point, Danielle and Rhonda, the community has put in a tremendous investment in the athletics, health and wellness, physical education piece, because like fine arts, we were severely lacking in facilities and in physical plant at Ithaca High School. Now we have state-of-the-art facilities essentially, and so we're going to hear about how are we using them and how are we rethinking how we teach physical education and student engagement.
So these are just a couple of pictures of events that went on at our school so far. If you can scroll to the next slide. That is me. I'm Rhonda Bullard. I'm the coordinator of health, physical education, and wellness. I think I have the longest title in the district, so thanks for that. It does not fit on my badge, but it does fit on my door in like 3. This is just a background of myself. I went to Rockport State for my bachelor's in physical education, K through 12. I have my health education as well as my school district administrator degree. I was a teacher I've been in public education for 17 years, as a teacher and coach for 10, and now as administrator for 7 plus for many years. So I hold a certified pool operator certificate, so I manage the pool along with Jarrett. And I can maintain my lifeguard in case I have to jump in when I'm over there.
Hold on, you said Jarrett? The pool?
Yeah.
This Jarrett?
Everyone else is thinking the same thing. I thought I didn't throw you off, but they were all right.
Now, Mr. Powers is the principal of all the high school,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
Okay.
So that facility is within his realm, so
Yes.
he split that, which is quite interesting. But fun.
Does he swim?
I don't know, I haven't seen
Now
him
they've
yet.
changed the water.
Yeah.
not to get lost with Mr. Powers whether he can swim or not, but go ahead, Ron. You're good.
So we have 8 elementary schools in the district, which are pre-K through 5. We have 2 middle, 1 high school, and 1 alternative school. I wanted to give you the breakdown of the teachers that we have at each, so you can just refer to that. Currently, we have 3 teachers in the district that travel between the schools to deliver adaptive physical education services to the students. And what I'm looking at doing is with each year, there's not been much thought behind the students moving on, whether it's grade level or just school level, and having the staff move with that. Sometimes people really want to keep staff in the building, but when you have the needs and the needs move up to a different level or to a different school, then some staff isn't going to need to follow. So we're really trying to change that mindset around that. So for district employees. Good, Rick. In our enrollment for health education, we have a total of 1,025 students annually that take it. At the middle level, it's 709, high school 256, and annually at LACS, there's 60. Adaptive physical education students in the district currently that receive integrated and non-integrated services are 82. At the elementary level, there's 36, middle is 21, high school is 20 and 5. Where we are going with our staff and curriculum, we have a lot of passionate staff, and they're collaborating with the core teachers, specifically at the elementary level, which is working out really well with the core classes. I'm making sure that the staff is being fiscally responsible, and when they're doing their budget, we make sure that we are sharing equipment when is needed, and we can easily deliver that. I have to deliver some is fine, but we also work with maintenance in the buildings to make sure that the equipment is shared and then returned and we inventory it. We are the only district, I was really surprised with this, in our BOCES that has a written curriculum that's aligned to New York State and national standards. So I'm being contacted a lot about trying to come up with a regional assessment in physical education, as well as one, right now we have one in health, but we don't have it in phys ed. So I thought that was interesting. PLC meetings, K through 8, are ran by myself. I go around and then we do them district-wide. So I gather everybody together. It's about 2 to 3 per month. And items that we talk about are common assessments. We really want to work with means of improving student learning instruction. We, of course, talk about means of addressing childhood obesity, grant opportunities, professional development, and your APPR and SLOs. With the staff at the high school, they're looking at the data for the failures, and they're looking at action steps that they as a department can take to address those to reduce the failure rates that occur in physical education class. Our partnerships right now, we're recognized as a lead district by Cortland State and Ithaca College, and we've been asked to serve. I went up to serve on a panel to evaluate student-teacher portfolios, and then I brought 3 staff members to Cortland State to talk to the student-teacher candidates prior to going out into all the schools. They wanted us to come there and share what we expect here at the Ithaca High School and the Ithaca City Schools, and we shared that with all of the students, whether they were coming here to do their student teaching placement or the areas around. So we were flattered by that. Collaborative units, these are collaborative units that have gone on so far. The measurements in physical education in 5th grade is currently going on, but the sock hop and the Great Escape are activities that were also offered at the evenings, and they serve as fundraisers for the PTA. I guess they're pretty good money makers, and they're a lot of fun if you ever get a chance to go to them. The measurements in the PE in 5th grade is a collaborative effort between Professor Foley at Cortland State, Dan Miller in the 5th grade classroom, and what they're doing is they're implementing technology into the class. So students are using heart rate monitors, they're using pedometers, stopwatches, and measuring tapes to collect data. And then from that, they are going to write an article, and we hope that it gets published in one of the professional articles, Joe Bird. So this is a great thing to collaborate for the math skills. This is some of our staff members, Drums Alive. I brought this here. There was a handout that just came around. Val White and Jane Bryant, which is an elementary staff member and a high school staff member, are actually going to pilot this in their classes. It's rhythmic, it helps with math skills, it's something that's kind of out of the box. So that's what we're really trying to do with physical education, is have students feel more comfortable being physical, but in totally different realms. So it's no longer badminton for 4 years or basketball for 4 years. We want to have them think outside of the box. You can still do things and have fun. And it's very cost effective. Oh, you're good. Oh, David already talked about the modern dance. In a personal health and fitness elective, this is something that I organized at my previous job, and it was very popular. And it was an upper elective for students in 11th and 12th grade that actually wanted to possibly go into the industry for whether it's teaching or fitness or anything, and it was goal setting for them. So it was something a little bit outside of the box, and we're trying to see if we can maybe implement that here as well. There has never been, as far as my research, any replacement plan for mats. So this is something that over a period of time.
We're shocked. It's
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Over a period of time, because we have a lot of mats that are in individual schools, but we also have a gymnastics and a tumbling units that go around through all of the elementary schools, and there's about 72 total mats that travel with that. And we want to start making sure that we have a replacement plan in place, so it's all of a sudden not this huge cost, but we're also looking at having more green, environmental friendly mats. They're lighter weight, they're durable, but safe, and we want to try to have it so that we make sure that we have safe mats all the time that are traveling through the schools. The middle school weight rooms, we want to try to transfer them into wellness centers, because right now, I'm 41 years old, and when I went up there, there's some equipment that was wonderfully donated in the years, but it's not age appropriate and it's not size appropriate. So for the students to actually get a good workout or wellness focus, it's really not something they can do. So I'm working with Kevin Downey on trying to create a vision for more wellness versus weight-based, which would be a great transition for the students as then they move into our strength and conditioning room. So that's what we're trying to do. I'm also working with Paul Alexander. I've gone around and done a lot of observations and evaluations at the schools. Some of the elementary schools, because they're older, do not have space to write on walls or stuff gets ripped down. So we're looking at chalkboard paint, which is very inexpensive, but it's an opportunity for then people to, if they wanted to go over a bowling unit of scoring, they can do that without having to post it, and it's something that then they can erase because it's just chalkboard paint. You can actually write on it like a chalkboard. So, considering those things. Opportunities for growth. We need to emphasize the importance for myself in my position, as well as individual teachers, to actually analyze student performance data more. I think that probably all of us could say that we have to do that a little bit more and do some self-reflection and see what direction that we need to go in and what changes we need to make. I'm working now to try to get the elementary schools on a little bit more of a schedule, because we have some elementary schools now that deliver their specials day 1 and 2 on a 4-day rotation, and then students don't have it 3 and 4, and then some of the other schools have it odd days and even days. It's very hard to share staff effectively by doing that. And I'm really working on trying to make sure that each staff member at each school is best matched for that placement to maximize the learning, the growth, and the culture of excellence that we want. So there might be some movement, there might not be, but that's what we're looking at right now, is to make sure that we have the best people in the best places, because we're student focused. So Danielle's going to do the athletics, then we're both going to do the wellness, and then sorry. Thank you.
Great.
This is me. I heard someone say UVA. Go Terps.
Yes. Oh, no. You're not here.
As you can see, my background is mostly in college athletics. I am so thrilled to be an administrator here in the district, because when I was a college coach, my focus was really on coaching college women. And now I have an opportunity to work with students from 7th grade, 12th grade, male, female, playing all types of sports. So I'm so thrilled to be able to kind of reach more students doing more things. So this is us in the numbers. This is, you see the total number of students that participate in athletics. Our female students, our male students, we have 23 varsity teams, 11 JV, 11 modified. 15 of those are male, 15 of those are female teams, 19 are male teams. And these are a number of coaches. And when I came, when I started here, I think the thing that I initially did was to get to know the athletic department through the eyes of the coach. So I've met with all of our head coaches, all of our JV coaches, all of our modified coaches, just to understand what their needs are, where do they need to support, what the athletic program looked like in the past, and where does it need to go. So here are our highlights. So the Wellness Center, oh my God, it's amazing. It's better than some of the weight rooms I worked at when I was working in colleges. And the things that it has afforded athletics is early practice. It's been great. Multiple teams practice at the same time. During basketball season, it was wonderful. We have a bunch of teams practicing girls basketball, boys basketball, and they weren't here till 10 o'clock at night. And that was a big change for them. It was a great opportunity for our students to get home at a reasonable time, to get to their schoolwork, so their day isn't dominated by waiting to use a gym. It was a great change for them. And the other piece of it is that strength and conditioning. We have a certified strength and conditioning coach that works in our strength and conditioning room. They are available through the school year, also during the summer. Students have air conditioning. Woo-hoo, thank you.
I'm sure we want to talk about that right now.
Oops, sorry.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah. We talk about that after the
sorry.
You're good.
And so our athletes have had the ability to work with the strength and conditioning coach to prepare themselves for the season, but most importantly, for injury prevention. I mean, that's the biggest thing about strength and conditioning, is to really prevent injury. And also, since we also have a certified athletic trainer on staff, we now can have our injured students come in before and after school and be rehabilitated in the strength and conditioning room. So what have we been doing? We've had high participation numbers in our fall and winter kickoff. We have a spring kickoff coming up on March the 20th. Not Dr. Moss, but another PhD student that works with Dr. Moss will be there to speak to our athletes about sleep. We have started a teacher appreciation night. So just those of you who were at the girls basketball game a couple weeks ago, they had teachers come out and students introduce them to talk about how these teachers had touched their lives as athletes. And so in the spring, every sport will have a teacher appreciation night. So for example, you'll go to a girls lacrosse game and their seniors will have invited some teachers to come and then give the students an opportunity to acknowledge what they've done for them over their athletic and academic careers. We had a national signing day. You can see the picture there. All of the students happen to be lacrosse students. They're signing their national letter of intent, their scholarship to go to Division II and Division I schools. I was impressed with the number of Division I athletes and amazed that we had never done a national signing day before. But we will continue to do those. Unfortunately, we didn't have anyone for the February signing date, but hopefully in April we'll have another signing date for our April students, and then obviously next November signing day. Our teams, one of the students already talked about the swim team. I was going to brag about that, but he took my thunder, but that's okay. Our teams have been doing well. Let me see my list here. Boys and girls swimming, one stack, section. Both teams sent several member swimmers to states. Boys soccer advanced to Section 4 finals. Cross country ran second place to finish in the section. Volleyball advanced to the section semis. Girls basketball advanced to the Section 4 semis. And that's just to name a few. Lastly, one of the things that has been wonderful with the addition of the graduation coach, Rich Bernstein, that Jared fought so hard to have. He works specifically a lot with athletics, and he has been able to give us the highest level of academic support we have ever gotten as an athletic program. He meets with struggling students, he sets up programming for struggling students, he helps them find tutors, he notifies coaches, he works with teachers. If there's a student, they have like reports that the teachers have to fill out. The students have to come and say, how am I doing? They have to hand that to the coach to be able to practice. It's been amazing, and I can't say enough how important Rich Bernstein has been to the athletic program. So community, what have we been doing in the community? Our teams have been participating in community service each season. It's voluntary. So the things that they have been doing, they did in the fall, they did a walk, the cancer walk, they did a walk for animals. In the winter, they participated in the Salvation Army Adopt a Family program, where the athletic program adopted 6 families, and we supplied them with Christmas presents and food. This spring, we will be doing a Habitat for Humanity. We have collaborated in all different ways to recognize our former athletes, and so we've started the Hall of Fame again. It's been on hiatus for about 4 or 5 years, I'm not sure why, but we're bringing it back, and we're going to have a Hall of Fame ceremony. I think it's going to be April 30th, where we've moved the boys and girls varsity lacrosse games to the same day, and in between their 2 games, we're going to have a Hall of Fame induction class. We've been working with Line of Rink for our hockey teams to play there. I just recently met with Babe Ruth Baseball, and we're going to collaborate on working on our baseball diamonds. Believe it or not, we only have 2 full-size baseball diamonds in the entire city. I still can't get over that. And so we've been struggling to have our baseball programs at Babe Ruth. It's been struggling to find a place to play. So we've created this relationship where they're going to help us get the diamond over at Cass Park, ready to go for our JV and modified, and we're going to let them use our diamond in the fall, and that will give them the ability to have fall baseball, which they've never been able to have, and that will help our baseball programs grow. Also, Enterprise Rent-A-Car does a baseball clinic in Buffalo and Rochester, and they're going to bring it to Ithaca on May 11th. So I was happy to hear people talking about budgets. Yay. So where do we need to grow as an athletic program? And I'm sure you're not going to be shocked when I say money. When I look at the 2009 and 2010 budget and I compare it to the budget this year, there's been some substantial differences. There was a $7,387, we have $7,387 less in the budget for coaches' salary. Our contractual expenses were cut by $23,186. And this is the big one. Our athletic supplies have been cut by a staggering $65,000 from the 2009 and 2010 budget. So, and how that has affected us is one of the places that I think that we really need to look is with our modified programs. Modified programs is our students' first introduction to athletics, and they get no or the worst uniforms, hand-me-downs from varsity that are XXL, or they get no uniforms at all. You'll see Mr. Jacob running in a t-shirt that he bought for $5, and other cross-country modified students from other districts have uniforms. So one of the things that I put in my budget proposal for next year is actually having the modified teams have uniforms. If we want to grow our athletic program, we want more participation, we want our students to enjoy their experience, they need to have a uniform. That's really important. It's really important when you're finally, I can run for Ithaca, I can be part of Little Red, and you don't get a uniform. And so I think that's really important that we purchase uniforms for our modified programs. Restoring assistant coaches positions. Years ago, our assistant coaches were cut from the budget. It's important that we have coaches that can help our students learn their craft and help them with injury prevention, to just be another voice on the field. Equipment needs, and I have to say, we have amazing facilities, but there's still some needs that need to be addressed, like our gym floor, our scoreboard, our pool. So there are definitely some places where we need to continue to strive to improve our facilities. So another opportunity for growth is really increasing our participation as well as retention. You know, I've been talking to students about, why did you play modified, but now you're not playing in the high school? What's changed for you? What support you need? How can I, excite you? What are the things that will get you to want to play? And one of the things is retaining and hiring qualified coaches. So it's really important that our coaches get some support. They need to go to coaching clinics. They need to be taught. We're starting a mentoring program that if you're a new coach in the district, and a coach that's been here for a while will mentor you, will support you, will help you. We're also looking to reach gender equity goals, making sure that our female athletes have a similar experience as our male athletes. We're starting a captain's leadership council where the team's captains will get together once a month and share ideas and share problems and do vignettes and do things that will help them problem solve with their team. And so the swim team tells the basketball team, well, we had some guys and this didn't work and maybe this will work, and the girls basketball can share with boys basketball their captains. It can help them lead their teams better. At NCAA recruiting seminars, you saw on the first slide that I was a recruiting coordinator. I'm a certified recruiting coach for the NCAA, and I really feel like we have talented athletes that could be recruited, but they just don't know how to get recruited. So I'm really interested in starting a seminar next year to teach our sophomores, our freshmen and sophomores, juniors. Some juniors, it's a little late nowadays to get recruited junior year, to have them understand how to get recruited. So wellness. Ron is going to join me for wellness. We thought we'd do this together because our jobs overlap a lot, but this is where our job overlaps the most, is with the Wellness Center.
That just gives you an idea of what facilities that we consider are part of the wellness. It's a Q building, basically. The uses of it, obviously, our physical education classes use it, the athletic teams, the workouts or practices. The one thing we're trying to work on right now is having Fall Creek, because they're the closest elementary school that could walk over here, to possibly use the climbing wall and interactive room, because they do not have a climbing wall in their elementary school. They're one of the only ones that don't, but they're close enough to walk over, so we're working on that. Facilities, improvements, and trainings. We worked with Highway Hi-Fi to get a state-of-the-art sound system in there that has a microphone. Right now we're looking at sometimes between 330 and 445, up to 100 students in there working out, and then we need to use the microphone to kind of clear them out to so that our strength and conditioning coaches can work with the athletic teams that are signed up for those spots. So we're looking at, for safety, right now there's no storage space for book bags. So we have cubbies that are coming that will be all alongside the back wall behind the cardiovascular equipment to be able to get those out of the way for safety. After school makeups, we do that weekly. It's on Tuesday, so we give students an opportunity that they've missed a physical education class, that they can make it up. And obviously, we want to highlight our facilities, so we have a couple different teachers that are stationed in those facilities so kids can go and make up a physical education class for the credit. And then we have LACS that they come over and use our pool. They're also looking at working with Josh Chase, who's the department chair here, and myself, to be able to come over a little bit more often to use some of our facilities as well.
We hold EDGE classes through the Wellness Center, and the EDGE classes that we have going on currently, we have a strength and conditioning class, which is every day. So any student can come to our strength and conditioning class. There's a loose agenda, and they can come and work out with Adrian Western, our strength and conditioning coach. We have basketball. We have, that's actually an EDGE class going on in the on the rock wall. I Motion, which is the dance revolution you guys see going on in there. We have Edge students in there. We will soon have volleyball, soccer, and some other activities for them. Also Zumba, but it's not held in the Wellness Center. That's held in our dance studio. We have staff events. Staff and students can go in and get support after school. Before school, Judy Hoffman has done an amazing job organizing and running staff wellness events on PLC days. And they also have access to the weight room and Zumba classes. And lastly, we had Link Crew come in and have a great ice cream social where they use the rock wall and the iDance system. So our collaborations with the community, Cascadillo Crew, which is a crew team, which consists of majority Ithaca students, Ithaca City School District. They come in twice a week to use the facility to get ready for their crew season. Like I said, we have Edge. We have high school student activities going on. For example, we have archery class. We have archery club, badminton club. We also are currently updating the wellness policy. The last time the wellness policy was updated was in 2006, so we're working with Jen Hillman to update that. We've had Ithaca Youth Bureau in, and we are working with GIAC to get them in for their summer camps.
Opportunities for growth with the Wellness Center. We're working with Judy Hoffman now to supplement our staff wellness opportunities, such as yoga. There's been a lot of interest in that from the PLC days of trying to incorporate more of that. We have learned from the attendance that we are in need for a desk person in the strength and conditioning room basically daily from 3:30 to 5. And if we were to be able to expand the hours on the weekends, we would probably have that person do that as well. And we are looking to host some clinics for both student athletes and coaches on injury prevention, sports-specific training, concussion awareness and prevention, and nutrition and hydration, which we would open that up to other districts in the area and we have it here at our facilities to promote our facilities, but use them more effectively.
Excellent. Questions? There's a lot. Go ahead, Jeff.
What was that at the end about phys ed classes in the summer?
Right now, last year was the first year when they had physical education class for summer school, and they housed it in the Wellness Center so that we could use that facility. But they also worked on students working with goal setting, whether it was short-term, long-term, and working on personal fitness for them. So the class was actually held in the Wellness Center, and I believe the teacher was Jane Bryan for summer school.
And are kids taking that, what's the term for catch,
If they're unsuccessful
credit recovery?
Yeah,
recovery.
yes. Yeah, they do that as well as we have a zero period at the high school. So students that need to do a little bit more catch-up can actually come in for a zero period. And they work that out through with their guidance counselors to be able to report that too. So because we do know they're trying to cram a lot in a day, so we're trying to be more accommodating.
Michael?
I've heard staff, particularly in the PE department at IHS, who have in the past been asked to be between buildings. They really found that was a problem for them, not only in terms of the travel, but just in terms of not having colleagues and a real identity at a certain school. So how are you addressing asking teachers to go back and forth between schools who that may be a problem for?
I think with PLCs, it enables us to be able to have them have a home base. So we would have them, if they're in between a couple different buildings, we would have them be able to attend PLC meetings at both, so they're abreast of the situations at both schools. So I think that enables that, but we also have to, usually when the staff travels, it's to accommodate students for adaptive physical education needs. So when we have that, like I know Mr. Dumont, he was going to travel for us, but the student was declassified for adaptive services. But when we have an expert in the field who does a very good job with that, we then travel around a little bit sometimes to be able to provide those services to students.
Go ahead.
Just 2 ideas regarding ideas for the futures. I know with collaboration with Ithaca College, there are several sports, softball, pole vaulting, part of track, and then swimming and diving. There have all been clinics held at IC that run year-round, and they're actual fundraisers for the teams. So I thought expanding those to all Ithaca sports would be a really good idea for both Ithaca College and IHS. And then secondly, I know a lot of student athletes don't have the time to do after-school PE makeups if they're out for a meet or an invitational. So I think before-school makeups would be a really good idea in addition to the after-school ones.
Yeah. I know the students can go in once, if they talk to their teacher, they can go into the zero period, which would be the class people, which is an actual class, but you can go in and do makeups at that period as well. You just have to have that conversation with your teacher because they have to sign something to give to that teacher so you can get credit for that. But that is availability.
Is there anything before zero period if you're taking zero period? And you're
No, there's not. But we could definitely work something out. So as a person who's certified as a teacher, if there's something that has to happen, we can make it happen.
Talking -0 here?
Yeah. Zero dark hour. But we can work something out.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I'd like to ask that as this process moves forward, LACS be continually thought of, because I feel like, I've gone to ACS since 6th grade, and in 7th grade I joined the cross-country team, and that's been a really good experience for me. But that was kind of just mentioned offhand to me by a family friend, and I think if I hadn't been there for that conversation, I wouldn't have even known about that. So I think just the fact that students at ACS can participate in Ithaca High School and modified sports teams would be really great. And then also getting we have a great gymnasium in ACS, but we don't really have any other strength and conditioning facilities at all. And I think just anything like that could be really helpful.
Yeah, I've actually talked up there to Mr. Greenberg, and that's difficult because there's not a lot of space around for that, but we can certainly make it so that you guys can come down to
that would be
here.
great as well.
And I know that Danielle and I are going to be taking our show on the road soon to be able to promote that facility as well as all the athletic opportunities for students at that school. So come around.
Well, thank you.
I've had a lot of feedback from some of the modified parents also that they just don't know enough about the modified program and they're hearing it through other parents and whispers. And so that's one of the things that Rhonda and I are really committed to, is making sure that we're educating the 6th graders, saying next year these are the sports that are available, this is the process, this is the help form, this is how you make it happen. And I think that will alleviate some of the confusion or not really knowing, or is that just for Ithaca High, is that just for Boynton, because Boynton's right there, and so that's one of the things that we're interested in fixing, is that this notion of that athletics is just for Ithaca High School and people just don't know what's going on around it.
So,
Well, on the I guess revenue generation side of it, since we're in budget season, when we talked about the bond a few years ago, especially related to the football field, we talked about generating revenue from that. And so just wanted to hear your thoughts about kind of now with the 2 gyms and actually 3 with Boynton, AAU basketball tournaments. I know we have a big lacrosse tournament. I know we use the track for other things, but just if you could talk about your plans for kind of marketing this athletics facility as a possible way to generate revenues, and also if you can talk about well, no, that's fine.
So the last since taking over, it's been a tremendous secret to me how revenue has been generated through our facilities. I've been trying to figure it out for many months now, and I realized that unfortunately, in the past, it wasn't done transparently, and it wasn't done straightforward, it wasn't done evenly. So I'm in conversations with Dr. Brown and Jason Trumbull about making how you get to access our facilities and pay for our facilities transparent so people know. So for example, this summer we have a semi-professional football team that has asked to use a Moresco stadium. And they came to me and said, oh, well, can we use it for free? And I said, no. And so there is
good answer.
there is a payment structure that was put in place many years ago, and so I think it's just enforcing that. I think that's really where generating funds will come, and I know I've had requests for AAU basketball tournaments, and I have been saying, hey, okay, I'll send you what it's going to cost you, and I will admit I haven't been a popular person lately with having people understand that they do have to pay for our facilities because it costs money for our custodial staff, it costs money in lights, it costs money if something happens to repair, and so our fees are not exorbitant, but it's something that is necessary, I think, to maintain the beautiful facilities that we have, as well as to generate revenue for our school system. So that is something that we've been in conversation with, and the fee structure has been in the past, it just hadn't been evenly executed. And so that's one of the things that I've been doing just more recently.
What about the marketing side of that? You know, you talked about promoting within the district all that we have, but what about promoting area-wide or, you
We're
know?
working with Jenny Bisha right now to do it so it's online, like specifically the forms that you have to fill out. But as far as promotion goes, Danielle and I have talked about, you know, going around but also creating some flyers or having something more on the website. But conversations, we are going to the state conference on the 13th and 14th in Saratoga, and we're going to use that opportunity because I believe out of everyone that's represented there, we're only one of the schools that has this. So we're certainly going to bring pictures and promotions, and we also want to have it where we can, what we mentioned before is hosting some clinics here, so grabbing some outside people, hosting it here because we're centrally located, and, you know, gathering information and venue from that too, because I think that's going to expose them, so where people are going to want to possibly, you know, utilize them.
I'll let you have another question. Okay. Judy?
This is totally different. If a child plays a sport for a certain season, does he or she then get exempt from gym class?
No.
We changed that policy.
When did we change that?
A year ago, 2 years ago? Yeah, that's been a while.
That's a state.
That's a state
State
thing,
thing.
isn't it?
Okay.
Years ago. Yep.
I believe the state changed it because physical education now is more encompassing, and that's why they changed it.
George?
And just to Mr. Peacock's question, we've been having some conversations with the New York State School Board Association about the language we can use, and revenue generating is not one of them. But we're still learning as we go along, and we've been trying to find ways in which we also not standardize, but it's not just about our athletic facilities, it's about our building use facilities in general, that there's a lot of confusion, a lot of ways in which things happen in one school don't happen differently in another school. And so Jenny Bisha has been doing a bunch of work to try to put these forms in digital format as well as paper to try to figure out how we can best go about this and how we can then actually recoup the expenses, as Danielle was saying, that, you know, it costs us when we host these events. So beyond custodial time, there's other things that cost heating, right? Maybe new air conditioning. We'll figure out what takes place then. Sound system.
Yeah.
That's right.
It'll be nice too, this is only going to be 2 forms, an internal form and external. And internal means that you already work for the district, so there's no reason to show proof of insurance. And the external form, whether it's inside space or outside space, and then it's going to be drop down. So if it's going to be the same form, whether it's Culp Auditorium, the stadium, cafeteria in an elementary school, it'll be the same thing. So once you choose, you'll have the drop down, and it'll be really nice. But there'll still be paper form for those people that.
Just to change the subject again, a few years ago we had great concern about the failure rate, frankly, for PE. I can't graduate because
Correct.
I'm lacking PE credits. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to change clothes. There wasn't anything that I wanted to participate in. The rate was actually fairly high. We're hoping that is no longer the case, and I'm not sure whether you have numbers, but certainly we would hope that.
36 students this past semester that failed physical education, and 98% of them was because they're not attending school and they're failing all classes. So we're really working on that, and that's what I'm having them do is create action steps of what can they do better to possibly address this early on to get them so that we could have some kind of buy-in from the students in regards to
Right, and for the student body overall, I mean, that's why there is a new curriculum, PE curriculum, new facilities.
Right.
If you want to do rock climbing, you don't have to play basketball against Seth, right?
Good say Sean, they decided not to. That's good.
So we are trying to have, you know, wean away from some of the team sports and really trying to work on wellness and fitness. And
I mean, I like gym. I mean, I was good,
right.
but you know,
right,
for
but
other
there's
folks,
only so many times you can play badminton.
yeah, well, yeah, sorry.
Ask one more. Go ahead, Ron.
Well, just I'm going to change the subject again. You know, we are well aware that a few years ago we really, much to our chagrin, you know, really did have to cut about $5 million out of the budget. Athletics says seemingly, okay, that's the first place you cut. We fought against that, but we lost a lot of assistant coaches, a lot of opportunities for kids. We've obviously been trying to create a budget that allows that participation to happen. Do you have an idea of how many assistant coaches you need? I mean, well, no, I mean, well,
Well, let's not, whoa. I'm gonna say whoa, and ask if that is in your budget presentation to the superintendent already.
Well, no, I wasn't.
I don't want, we're trying to avoid our debating the 9th or the 10th assistant coach here.
Oh, no, I mean, I was in broad terms.
So in-
where are we
Right,
in
so
broad terms?
in my budget for next year, right now I have the addition of a girls lacrosse assistant and a girls swimming assistant to be added. And that's for gender equity reasons. And also a JV wrestling coach to be added, because right now our varsity wrestling coach is coaching the JV and the varsity at the same time, which is a huge issue in terms of injury. So if he's over here on the mat coaching the varsity and the JV wrestler is wrestling over here, he can't coach both of them. And so
That's not an assistant.
that's not an assistant coach, but I'm just saying the coaching
I didn't know,
additions.
yeah.
Those are the coaching additions that I have in the budget. And I'm hoping that instead of saying let's add all of the assistants back at once, every year we can add 2 or 3 assistants back. I think that's really what I was hoping.
And there's been interest over the last 2 years for modified sports we down to the team, which came to coach.
We did. We
Right.
added a team. So we added a whole soccer team, and we also just recently I met with the track coach, and he told me he had 77 modified track and field athletes last year, and there was 2 coaches. So we just a few weeks ago added a 3rd coach to that modified program, and which I would hope to retain next year in the budget.
Right, and to Brett's point, I wasn't looking for.
Yeah, she was going to her
I was
notes.
getting excited. I need 8.
I thought we already had budget proposals to the
No,
superintendent.
we did, and that's what was in my budget proposal.
And frankly, and this is an opportunity to ask, well, how are we getting there? But go ahead.
Well, first of all, I want to say I miss the old days of fighting about, assistant coaches. Yeah.
He's coming back.
But so maybe we can fight about cutting grass and things like that. My question deals with when this new construction was proposed, we talked about maintenance requirements, keeping it clean and oiled and cut and all that stuff. And I remember we had a couple issues with properly maintaining the nice turf we had and make sure we had it on a cycle and things like that. I know we have issues with the maintenance schedule on the gym floors and things like that. Can you give us a sense of kind of maintenance-wise, how comfortable or confident you are that our new equipment is kind of being oiled or sprayed or whatever they do to this stuff, at the right intervals just in terms of the field? I know sometimes those fields get wet, the practice fields get wet and a little soggy. How are we doing with the turf? Just kind of how's our building and grounds maintenance folks take care of the stuff, and what, if anything, needs to be done or improved, or are we pretty good?
No, I think we're doing okay. I think we're doing okay. I think there's room for growth. I meet with Paul Alexander frequently, Bob Trask, who does the outside facilities, and Jeff Holcomb, who does the inside facilities in the Wellness Center. And it's an education process. So, for example, with the strength and conditioning room, the custodians didn't necessarily understand how to service that equipment, and so Ron and I went through it and showed them the things that they needed to do, and then we came up with a plan. So during every break, so every school break, they're going to come in and clean every single machine. They're going to look through every single machine. They're going to make sure it's all taken care of. Now we have a maintenance program through G&G Fitness that come in when something breaks, they come in and fix it. So they're not doing that work, but they're doing the cleaning and the upkeep. So there was things that they just didn't understand, that they had to physically lift, some of the cardio equipment and get underneath. And so Rhonda and I have been, I would say we meet monthly about different things to make sure that they understand. Now, in terms of one of the reasons why we started the partnership with Babe Ruth Baseball was because our baseball diamond, our staff had struggled to keep Cass Park baseball diamond and our baseball diamond up to standard with the weather here in the spring. And so the deal that we're working on with them is have the Babe Ruth people really focus on the cast diamond and our field people focus on our diamond, and that will free them up to really maintain our facilities instead of them going over to Cass Park and trying to keep the city, diamond going and then try to get back. And so I'm working with them to find ways to make sure that they have the time to focus on our facilities. I walked the turf field, especially in the fall. We talked about pellet, when to put the rubber pellets in, and if there were some seams that were coming loose, and we had people come in and sew them back. And so I feel very confident in terms of working with Bob and Paul and Jeff to make sure our facilities are being taken care of. The gym floor, they did a great job. I don't know if you saw it. It was up here in Levy, and our maintenance guys did a great job of cutting the floor and letting it go back down, and then they stripped it and redid it over Christmas break. And they've been very responsive to me. They've been very responsive to Rhonda, but I do think it's a work in progress.
On the facilities, you mentioned a couple of things during your report. The gym floor, we're very aware of the main gym floor. As you were aware, it was part of the problem that arose from construction and the pipe that basically got ripped, a roof leader that got ripped up and didn't get put back in and so forth. So there's who's liable for it. Legal issues have to do with that, but that's going to get done at a point here, probably over the summer, be taken care of. You mentioned the pool. We're aware of some of the issues with the pool. We're entertaining proposals right now in an energy performance contract for the district. We're expecting the pool to be a substantial piece of that, air handling, pumps, all the different things. We're expecting those to be a major part of what comes out there. So we are aware of each of those issues.
One of the things I neglected to mention, which is in my notes but I didn't mention, is also stands for softball. Right now our softball field doesn't have seating for spectators where our baseball field does, and so we want to make that a little bit more equal. So that's another facility thing that I've been in contact with Paul and Mark.
And I know they're putting softball dugouts in
This summer. Yeah, right, exactly.
So I guess we need to talk about some stands next to the dugouts.
Exactly.
Seating was bring your own.
Right, it was bring your own, which is quaint, but we need seating for our massive amounts of spectators in the softball.
Okay.
And was there one question from the back?
Yeah. You said something about how you want to move the gym classes towards wellness and a little away from badminton. I disagree with that. Personally, badminton's my favorite unit. But I think I'm going to have spent over a 10th of the year in the wellness center in gym class, which I think is a lot and it's a little too much. Kids around me don't really seem to enjoy being in the wellness center, and I think a good model for the high school gym class would be the elementary school gym classes. There's more games, more variation in what we do, and I think that would improve attendance for gym class.
I think we're looking at a variety of different things. I actually just got off the phone with a parent the other day, and the urban legend of why do we swim in the winter, and when I was a teacher here years ago from 2000 to 2006, was because we needed to use that as a teaching space with our rigorous winters that we have here instead of going outside. And now we don't need to do that. So can we move the swim unit so students aren't walking outside with wet hair to classes because that's how our school is built? Of course we can. So we really want to think of outside of the box. We want to offer possibly the opportunity for students that can have employment here in the summer working as lifeguards to having maybe a lifeguard class that you can get physical education credit for. So we're really trying to, we're not going to get rid of badminton because I love badminton as well, but we're just really trying to focus on providing opportunities for students to be successful, and the more that you offer to them, whether it's your team sports or wellness, we really want to have it so that students can choose. So it's a true elective program so that then students have buy-in for receiving that credit and they want it. So that's what we're looking toward doing. But those are just good conversations, and any feedback that certainly you want to bring to my office over in student activities or give to your physical education teachers to get back to me. I would love to hear it because we want to think outside of the box, but still make sure that we're maintaining popular units as well. So thank you for the information, I appreciate it.
And if there's nothing else, there's probably another one. Ithaca speaks out. Here we go.
I just have
Go ahead.
I just have one question about the budgeting of the sports equipment. You said that I think 2 years ago there was a $65,000 cut. Are you planning on keeping those cuts, or are you planning on gradually putting more money back into that? And how's that going to work? Because I know I've been on the swim team for a couple of years, and all our equipment is very old. Our lane lines are very fragile, and a lot of our equipment is falling apart.
Yeah, in the budget proposal, so I don't necessarily control how much budget money I get. I put together a proposal and it goes through the process, and what we get, we get. And one of the things that I have put in is to pretty much get back that $65,000 cut so we can start to support our programs like the lane lines. Like I have a great example, our cheerleaders. They don't have crash mats right now. So they're doing stunts with no mats. There's no mats have ever been bought for them because there's not enough money in the budget to buy the mats. So these are the things that I've put in the budget going forward in hopes that if we can get more funding, we can take care of our sports a little better. And I've been in touch with your coach about your lane lines, and your lane lines are, the things I learned from being an administrator and being a coach, they're like $1,000 a piece. Right, yes. So that is something that we're hoping to replace, maybe lane line at a time, but these are all things that I'm hoping that we could come back to a little higher amount in that equipment budget to make those things more up to date for our students.
And I can offer a quick response as well, particularly about the pool. First of all, the board is very much aware of what's taking place with the pool. And part of the hesitation, I think, is as Brad tried to describe, is we're finding one of the best ways to fund this project that is also responsible to taxpayers. And so by going through an energy performance audit, there may be ways in which there may be additional funds available to us to make the pool more than what we may be able to afford generally. And so it may take us 3 or 4 months longer than what we anticipated. That's the reason why the pool's been in such bad shape. In terms of other additions to the budget, we've been thinking about this not only in terms of what is financially responsible and fiscally responsible to us, the taxpayers, but also, for example, to the EDGE program. How are we trying to find ways in which to increase student participation? So the various budget decisions we'll be making, I'm sure, over the next couple of months, we'll try to weigh those balances about, do we need to add more money for modified uniforms, and that's going to increase participation, right? We're going to try to find ways which we tie all this back to student achievement and student engagement. So I think I'm quite sure you'll be hearing a great deal much more about it, but I wanted to particularly just the pool that we're on it, even though it doesn't seem like it's moving quick enough.
Anything else?
A quick plug, David Brown mentioned it, and these ladies are doing it also. They're putting the work that they're doing and where they are, which is everywhere, out on Twitter. I've had folks come up to me and speak to, well, I didn't know it was a concert happening on Sunday until I followed David Brown, and he's saying he's at a concert. He's showing a picture. Judy Maxwell is the only board member who signed up for Twitter right now. She did today. Just another plug. So I would encourage folks to sign up. And
Well, she doesn't have a cell phone, so.
Yeah, you can, I'm sorry, I didn't say athletics. You can absolutely follow us on Twitter, Little Red, at Little Red Sports.
And you get the scores.
And you can update scores, pictures. Also, you can like us on Facebook. So anytime any of you students who are athletes are doing something, you might find that announced on Facebook or Twitter.
If you want to know about school closings, follow me.
And I think Dr. Brown and I have talked about, I'm going to have to get somebody to tweet for me. Have my own personal, it would be my own expense, not at the district's expense. Great job, it was a great update. It's obviously a critical piece. And thank you, David, thank you, Rhonda, thank you, Danielle. And really, any other business by board? Go ahead, Sean.
Just one other board member. It's not on our agenda, but there is a glorious policy committee meeting tomorrow at 5:30.
5:30?
5 tomorrow. Am I wrong about that, Pat? Tomorrow, right?
I was pretty sure I was missing something, but yes, tomorrow at 5:30.
Judy Max is unaware.
Yes. I say yes.
Yes.
We had a schedule, but it's not on.
Were you trying not to have Judy show up? Is that what's going on?
And the public can pretty much be guaranteed that within reason, we'll be probably meeting probably about twice a month until the end of the this academic year trying to get back on track with our policy work.
Wow, you guys rock.
Oh, it is.
And the tentative,
Judy does have it. Okay.
the tentative meeting for finance and facilities on the 4th, we will not be having.
Good.
When we gave the superintendent instruction tonight on the budget, there's no need to have that meeting.
You will be meeting on March 18th.
We will.
Okay.
And if I may, peripherally related to board business, the board will be fielding a team at the IPEI Spelling Bee this Sunday.
And who will be our spellers?
Sean Eldred and I will be attempting once again to lead the team to victory.
I just want to note that Dr. Brown's been cut from the team. Last year he was on it, and now he's not. So.
I have my own team. I form my own group. We're the Plug Boys.
Who's on your team?
Jason and Karen Kelly.
Oh, okay.
And we're going to win.
And Pat,
We'll see what happens.
We're going to win.
and Pat, you know, Eldred's answers in spelling bee can't be rhetorical. You know, specific letters, right?
Country of origin with a comment.
Right. But I will be at the spelling bee. I will be there, rooting everybody on. Any?
At the first team.
We expect signs that say Board of Education Buzz, which is our new name, Board of Ed Buzz. So we expect signs and placards and everything else. Cool.
Do you have T-shirts, that kind of thing? Is there anything else?
I move we adjourn.
Second by Chris. Without objection, we're adjourned. Thank you very much.
I know what you're talking about.